guys, it is Haley, and if you don't know me, I am a musician that's based in Nashville, Tennessee, and have done a lot of hired gun gigs and have my own band as well. And so I've had a lot of experience using in-ears versus just wedges, monitors that are on stage. And so I wanted to give you my thoughts about if I would really splurge on in-ears or not. One thing that I've noticed is as a musician, it's always like you need the nicest thing. For example, like you need to have the nicest pedals on your pedal board and the nicest guitar, the nicest amp, all this stuff, and it can get really, really expensive. Even for something as simple as a plugin, it can be like $1,000. So I wanted to kind of think about with in-ears as a non-touring musician, if it's really worth the splurge on them. I have a lot of thoughts about in-ears because I think a lot of times they can be used now in situations that they can just be frustrating. I would say in my experience, there's been a lot of times that when you have situations that you're doing in-ears, it can actually create a ton of lag time. I know that a lot of venues like them and sound engineers like them because you have complete control of your mix and musicians don't keep saying, okay, can you turn me up? I can't hear myself. And you can usually control it with an app like MXQ on your phone where you can set your custom mix and have everything that you want and be able to hear yourself in your ears. And in theory, I think that this seems like a great idea. Everyone has their own mix. You can control it. The stage volume stays low so that the sound engineer control how much everyone's hearing out there. But I feel like there's been a lot of times it's been very frustrating. The biggest things that I've noticed with a lot of in-ear setups is one, I feel like there's just always a problem, that there's just something that's gone wrong on stage or something that ends up taking a really long time that you have to sort out. The other thing is, as far as setting your own mix, I've typically only used MXQ. There's, I'm sure, other apps out there, but this is just the one that I've always used, that you can set your own mix and everything. That's actually kind of tricky to do because I usually end up fiddling with it the entire time, and then I just end up kind of leaving it where it is as something that's good enough, because as someone that is not professionally setting the mix, and also when you start playing a song, it's actually really hard because usually whoever you're playing with is going to want to start playing the song in sound check or whatever, and you're supposed to be playing along, so it can sometimes be hard to then also set your mix at the same time and take the time you actually need to really get a great mix in your ears. So even though it's designed that you should be able to hear yourself perfect and have this awesome mix, in reality it's actually pretty hard to make this perfect mix for yourself on the fly. The last thought that I have about using in-ears is that it can also be a bit isolating. I've had times that it just feels kind of weird, and it's nice having people be able to usually, do some musical direction through the in-ears. That is really great, but sometimes like with the audience out there and everything, there'll be things that happen and that you completely miss because you're kind of in your own little world. So for me playing, sometimes if I have a really great mix and everything's just perfect, you can really get into it and it's really fun. But sometimes if everything's not perfect, it can kind of ruin, I guess, the vibe of playing that day. Okay, so that being said, those are my personal thoughts. If you are a touring musician, it's kind of a whole different ball game because you are usually going to have all the time you need to get your perfect mix set up and also be in a stadium or a really big space that you actually really, really need them. But I've also played a lot of times that I've had just a small venue that wedges would have been just fine and that in-ears are used, and it feels like it just creates a bit more of a hassle. So back to the original question, would I splurge on my in-ears? My answer personally is no. So this, for me, if I was a touring musician and I was using them every single night and I had molded in-ears and I was playing these arena shows, then for sure I would splurge on them. I think that's basically a business expense and you would really need them. But as far as just playing little shows here and there, or playing local gigs and whatnot, I honestly don't think the nicest of the nice in-ears is necessary. So when I initially was playing, I did get pretty nice in-ears because I was playing a lot at a church that I used them a lot, and I had, they were in the $300 range. They were pretty good, and they actually broke after a year. So after that, I was forced to buy not as good headphones because the first ones I got for Christmas, these I was just buying on my own. And so someone I was playing with told me about these specific ones on Amazon. They're called the Linsel KZ ZS10 Pro. And these in-ear monitors are honestly great. They have 5 drivers, which if you don't know what a driver is, essentially each driver is what converts your sound so you can actually hear it. And each one usually can take a specific range in hertz of how much sound you can hear on your EQ range. So like if you just had one, it might just take a little bit of your dynamic range in the middle. So the more drivers you have, the more each ones of those can really specialize on your parts in your EQ. So these having 5, they really have great bass and they have really great dynamic range at the top. They go, I think, up to 40 hertz. So it's really nice. And these things cost me $50. I will say it's frustrating because one, since they're not custom, which I think this is any in-ear, they can a lot of times fall out of my ears. I also have small ears. So a lot of times it takes me a while to kind of like get a good fit. And then also the cord gets tangled a lot, which that's a little bit annoying. But in general, for $50 and not using these things every day or anything, I think these are honestly great. They sound amazing, and they kept me from having to spend $300 on another pair of in-ears or more if I was getting nicer ones. And now I can use that on pedals and guitars and things like that. So I would definitely say if you are thinking about just getting a pair of in-ears and you are not a touring musician that's going to be using these every single day, I would honestly check these out because they have been a lifesaver, and you could even get 2 pairs of them and have a backup. But mine have worked great and they've lasted longer than my more expensive ones. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. That is my 2 cents as a Nashville musician that does play a lot of shows, but again, is not on the road using these every single day. So let me know what your thoughts are at the bottom, if you love in-ears or hate them, or if you found any specific ones that you really like. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this was helpful for you if you are looking at getting a pair of in-ears, and have an amazing rest of your day.